Okay, we're about to do VBA solution for this project, and we're going to modify the one we did that had all of the code in one module. So the first thing we need to maybe think about is the dim statements. There is one additional dim statement that comes to mind, and that is the message code variable. And we could either make that string or numeric because it is a 1, a value of 1. So let's make it integer. Okay. If we had forgotten that, we could have always come back and put it later, so it's not a big deal. But that's the one that comes to mind. There might be others. But we're going to move on now to the auto estimate module, which, if you recall, is the driver module. And we're going to put the code, we can move this code down for a minute. We're going to call get data. And we're going to call find car price and call show results. And that's the end of that module, if you recall, in the design. At the top of the tree, we're going to execute these 3 sub-procedures from the design that we did. Okay, now we need to have a module called getData. So we're going to come down here at the end sub. And I've supplied, in your lab assignment, I've supplied you with dummy modules, if you will, that you can change the module name in each case to, for instance, get data or whatever you need, and you don't have to do what we're about to do. But if you want to, you can also create a module and when I hit enter, I've got a module. Private sub is what you need to key in, then the module name, and then parentheses with nothing inside. And then when you hit enter, you'll get this line. If you've got this line turned on, you'll get a line there between the 2 procedures, and you'll get an end sub statement automatically. But for you, you probably won't have to do that this term, what I just did, because you will have some private subs with a replace with your module name here or something right in here that you can use. Now the getData module is going to have the code, if you recall in the design, it's going to have the code that is right here to input the various pieces of data. We're going to cut that from here and put it here. And that's pretty much as easy as it is to create that module. The next module, and by the way, I could make this a little faster just by copying this, pasting, and then I'll just delete the input, and I'll change this to find car price. Nice thing about the prepared modules that are in the download for the lab is that they have error handler modules that will, if there is an error, will help you find the error in the code. Okay, so in this module we were going to have essentially all this code, but we're going to take some things out to put in the show results module, and but after we're done. But for the moment, we'll just cut and paste it here and go back up to show you what was left. Not much left in the driver, and that's as it should be. The driver should be the module that orchestrates the rest of the solution, and will turn out to be quite often, but not always, fairly small. But we do have some work to do down here and find car price, in that we were going to change this code right here to read, to set message code equal to 1, if you recall. And we were going to cut this out and not have that there. I'll just paste it down here for the time being, like I did with the pseudocode. Okay, then we can come back up. And the next thing that happened in our design was that in the else, we had this, instead of doing this base price, finding the base price, we had a module call for find base price. And not to get too far ahead of ourselves, we then called a module called find extra price. And then we had a call for calc car price. And that's essentially what we did in that false branch of this if. Now what we need to do is to come down and do find base price, the module. There's that module, and we need the code now, so we'll go up, find that, and cut it out of here. Bring it down, paste it in here. I need the alignment to be as it should be, so we'll take a second to get that straightened out. Always when you're doing copy and pasting of code like this, either from one place in VBA code to another place, or from here to the Word document, or vice versa, it's always the case that the indentation could get out of sync. Alright, so you need to check that. So now we're going to come up and do the next one, which is find extra price. So we'll come back down. Notice the line coming in and the end sub automatic. If you don't get that, you know you've done something wrong. And we're going to come back up here and take out the extras, which is pretty much the rest of the code, down to here. And if we go back up, this has become a much smaller module than it was before. Okay, so now we got find base price, find car price is finished. So what we want to do now is to do this module. So we'll copy that. There's that module, and that statement, it's a one-liner, is this statement right here. So we'll just cut it out of there and paste it in there, indent it. It is dependent on the module for its execution, so it should be indented. And then we have the private sub show results module to do. And that module is going to have, there's a statement I copied down here earlier, it's going to have this statement in it. And it's also going to have this statement in it. And it's going to have this statement in it, if you recall. Put it right in here. So it's going to have those three statements in it where we can refer to the pseudocode to find out how that was supposed to be done. But before we do that, let's go up and make sure that this module that we've been cutting stuff out of has everything the way it should be. And first of all, I noticed that the indentation is wrong. So I'm going to correct that. All of the statements in alternation are going to be indented within alternation. All of the statements that are alternation statements, like if, else's, etc., are going to be indented for the module. And some of them, like this one, is going to be indented a second time because it's in the else of this if. It's a nested if. And still coming over here to line these up. And it looks like we've got something wrong. So let's see. That would be for that one. That would be for that one. And I don't think this one shouldn't be here. So we're going to cut it out. Now it may be that it belongs up where we took it from. So let's go back and see. Yes, this one we took the end if of this if along with that cut and paste that we did. So we'll put it back where it belongs. Each if has to have an end if. So that looks better. Now, we'll come down here and refer to our pseudocode at this point. So in here, if message code is equal to 1, then, and we'll come down here and indent this. So now output convertibles, etc., that line comes out, and then our pseudocode said to do an else if after that. Notice that I'm not creating any logic here. I'm simply following the logic that I already had in, or have in the pseudocode. And then this test is going to be for the sunroof, leather seats, custom speakers, and the retractable child seat. We're going to copy that and come in here and paste it. Okay, so else if sunroof and leather seats and speakers and child seat are all Y, then we would want to output this message about the package price. And after that one's done, there is an else. So I'll go to the end of this line, hit enter, come back out here, and put else. See the if, else if, and else line up. The statements that are inside the alternation, this one needs to come out to there, line up, and this one needs therefore to go back there so that the label outs all line up. They're the things that are going to be done inside of the alternation. And when we're done with that, we come out and an end if lines up with the if and else ifs, etc. And we have the end of that if statement. Okay, so right now it looks like we've converted this to the VBA. We've translated the design that we had into VBA. At least we did the best we could at it. There may be some errors. We'll find out in a minute.